It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Folks, it's 2,700 pages. It's called the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare. Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Lesante. Thank you for joining us. Today, folks, we're going to learn about the facts about Obamacare. I want to just tell you, and I'm sure the good doctor who is my guest will also attest to this, this is not a Democrat or Republican thing. Today, we're going to talk about the facts about this particular bill, 2,700 pages. My guest today, no stranger to the Sam Lesante Show, is Dr. Victor Greco. Now, just to put things in perspective, Dr. Greco was the Deputy of Secretary of Health for the state of Pennsylvania. He's a former president of the Medical Society and also one of the most important committees probably when President Carter was in office. He was on the consulting committee for the National Institute of Health, which is one step below the Surgeon General. Dr. Greco, thanks for coming on the show.
It's always my pleasure, Sam. You know that.
Vic, let me just say this. This is a show that I think is extremely important to deal with only true facts.
Right.
Okay. So before we start the show, I think you'd like to make a couple statements so everyone's clear as to where Dr. Greco is going.
Right. I'd like to speak to all the people watching this, a lot of your patients of mine when I was in practice. I tend to be a straight shooter. I say things as I see them and believe they are. This is certainly, as Sam's already mentioned, not a political program. I'm not favoring one candidate over another today. For the record, I'm a registered Democrat. I've been very active in Democratic politics for many, many years. So I am not slanted towards the Democrats or the Republicans. I also want you to know that having been in practice for 30, 35 years doing surgery and medicine in Hazleton area, I know what's best for patients, and I know what's best for medicine. And with those thoughts in mind, we will carry on this discussion. As I explained to Sam, I'm going to do something I very seldom do, and that is I'm going to be reading some of the provisions that are in the so-called Obamacare health bill, so that there's no misunderstanding, no distortion of facts. You'll hear what we consider to be the truth. The one thing people out there have to understand in this whole discussion, Sam and I believe that all people should be covered with health insurance. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a matter of what is best for the patient and for the public. The public must realize nothing comes free. There are no free lunches. You have to pay for it. And you must keep two principles in mind, which are basic. You get what you pay for, and there's an expense involved with any project. With Medicare and the Obamacare coming into play, I'm afraid that the politicians are lying through their teeth to the American public. First of all, they cannot deliver what they're promising to the American public without increasing costs. And it's been projected the average increase is going to be $1,500 per person for Obamacare, number one. Number two, in order to keep it in line, they have to ration care. They cannot give the free care to everybody like they're doing. And as we'll find out later on, we'll talk about this health committee, which is extremely important. Thank you for the preamble.
Now, with that being said, Victor, and I'm very happy you said that because I've been accused that I'm one-sided, you know, only for the Republicans and conservatives. And when you speak facts, people get upset.
Of course.
Okay. But we have other shows that we're talking about the abortion issue, the health care mandate. But today, let's stick on the Obamacare.
Yes.
And what does it mean for young people? Because a lot of young people feel this is a good thing. Okay. And look, when you don't have all the facts, you know, and it sounds good, and someone, you know, tells you all these great things are going to happen to you, and, you know, pre-existing conditions and until you're 26, and we want to make sure we're taking care of you. Seniors who are 55 or 60 plus, okay, what they'll be facing. What part do you want to start on?
Well, I think the question you asked, why are young people interested in this? You must realize that on average, young people don't get ill very often. And so by increasing all of the young people, they're giving freebies, so to speak. We're giving you all health care. But the young people really very seldom need health care because, thank God, most of them are in good health. However, they're going to be the people going to carry the burden as time goes on because we're leaving a tremendous debt on them. And as far as the senior citizens are concerned, they're promulgating the fact that you're going to get everything you want. It's not going to happen, Sam. As I said earlier, they're going to ration care and they're going to increase the cost. Now, let us look at something and see how this fits in. If I'm a senior citizen and I, through the ravages of just getting old, I'm going to develop arthritis in my joints that need replacement. I'm going to develop heart disease and may need coronary artery disease, repair. I may need mitral valve repair. I may need transplantations of organs. They are going to put a time limit, an age limit as to when they stop doing this. This has happened in other countries where they've had this type of care. What they'll do is say, anybody that's 70 or 74 years of age and older cannot get a hip replacement or knee replacement. That's when you need them. That's when you need them. They're also going to say that if you are too sick, the surgery is going to be denied you. The medical treatment is going to be denied you because you're taking up too much of our resources. And who's going to make this decision? This decision is going to be made by what they call a National Health Committee. As you and I discussed before, this is a committee that is sacrosanct. By that I mean, whatever they do cannot be challenged by anybody the way the law is written. They can't be challenged by the representatives in Washington, the senators, the president, the justices, or the people. Nobody can go to them and say you're doing something wrong because they're going to set the agenda. And the reason they're set in that situation, because they're going to decide when you stop getting treatment, what treatment you're going to get, and what you will not qualify for. That's known as rationing.
Now, let me just understand this correctly. About 2 weeks ago, I was in front of a drugstore, and a nice little elderly lady came out, and she watches the show. And you know, I know she had something on her mind, and she says, I don't want you to be brainwashed by this Romney guy. I'm voting for Obama because he's going to take care of me. He's all for the poor people. He's going to give me the health I deserve. And this Romney, he's a millionaire. He doesn't care about us, okay? And I, you know, I felt bad because, you know, she had to be in mid-70s.
Right.
What I'm thinking to myself is, I really feel sorry for people who feel that way, Victor, because they really feel they're going to get health care. And anybody who's a senior, my mother, God rest her soul, she depended on that. At 80, I don't think they would ever have done what they did for my mom. When she was 80 years old, she had her both breasts taken. She had uterine cancer when she was 83, and she survived all those. The treatment she went through from 80 to 88 was unbelievable, and I don't think that would ever happen if there was an Obamacare. And I hope I'm 100% wrong. Would it be or wouldn't it be?
It will not be. You have to understand that the president is a very charismatic individual who unfortunately lies just about every time he opens his mouth. He never tells the absolute truth. He throws half-truths out there, which most politicians do. And as I said before in our previous discussion, if this Obamacare is as good as they say it is, why is it that our representatives and our senators don't have to join it? They have their own separate insurance. If it's the panacea, why don't they come along with it? Why don't they take it? But they don't want it because they have the super type of insurance. Now, that's not a political statement. It happens to be a statement of fact that this is what's going on. And what's going to happen is, it's already happening, you senior citizens, you're going to be carrying an additional $1,500 as this program comes in. And again, it's going to be on the backs of the middle class and working class people to support the entire thing. I don't know how many people realize that there's going to be a 3.8% tax on all real estate transactions. That means when a senior citizen is getting ready to sell their house, 3.8% is taken off the top and going back to support Obamacare. They don't tell you that, do they? They don't say a word. They keep that hidden. Are they also telling you that it's written into the law? There's going to be 1% on every bank transaction? Your own Social Security check, when it goes into the bank, is going to take 1% to go back to support Obamacare. Now, these are taxes that the average person cannot stand. They're looking for those checks. Do you also know that the Social Security check right now no longer says Social Security on top of it? It says federal entitlement. What does this tell you? We're becoming an entitlement society, and this is where they're pushing.
The interesting thing here, again, Vic, I know when we start talking about these facts, you have the staunch Democrats who get very nervous. They get nervous because here you are giving facts, and when I see these people applauding Obama, applauding Biden, applauding everyone who's attached to what they stand for, they have every right to do that. But I feel sorry for them because when they get hit, the seniors are struggling now. Now what you just said, when they start getting hit with all those additional taxes, it's going to be, you know, like, well, I didn't know this was going to happen, and I didn't know that was going to happen, and they never told me this, okay? And then it's after the fact, okay? Folks, I'm talking to Dr. Victor Greco. Remember, folks, we're talking about facts, and what he has here is directly from the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, which is Obamacare. Now, I don't care whether he's a Democrat or Republican. The fact is, that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get if Obama's elected. We'll stay with us. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, 24/7, SSPTV.com. I highly recommend, folks, that you write that website down. It's SSPTV.com. It's actually Samson Productions Television, but it's SSPTV.com. This show that I'm doing with Dr. Victor Greco on Obamacare is extremely important, and I would encourage you to call your friends, and I know we have a lot of people in California, Florida watch the show so they can get actual facts. Very seldom will you hear from the media giving you truthful facts. Today, Dr. Victor Greco, who is a former president of the Medical Society and also former Deputy Health, Secretary of Health in the state of Pennsylvania, and also served on the consulting committee for the National Institute of Health. If you're familiar with that, it's a very powerful committee. Dr. Greco, picking up on facts now on the Obamacare, let's talk about who is going to be taken care of now.
Yes. I'm going to do something that I very seldom do. You know, Sam, I'm usually extemporaneous, but so there's no confusion. I'm going to read from the Act itself some of the things I think are very important and most people don't know. The bill is going to provide insurance to all non-U.S. residents, even if they're here illegally. What other country in this world can you go to and be treated because the law demands it? Even if you're an illegal alien, they're going to cover you. The government's going to have real-time access to every individual's bank account and will have the authority, now listen to this, have the authority to make electronic transfers from those accounts. That means that the government in this, under the Obamacare, has the right to go into your bank account without your permission and withdraw funds if they decide to increase the taxes that are needed. Is this a free country or what? The plan will be subsidized by the government. This is where subsidies come in, and this is where some of the people love it. For all union members, they'll be subsidized. Union retirees, and for community organizations such as ACORN. We know that's a group that committed fraud and are still perpetuating fraud, yet they're pointed out that they will be subsidized. That's in the bill. The tax imposed under this section will not be treated as a tax. The Supreme Court ruled that this is a tax. And they're trying to cover it up in the bill by saying it's not a tax. Doctors will be paid the same regardless of specialty, and the government will set the doctor's fees. This is the committee I talked about. And again, this is not going to affect me because I'm not in the practice of medicine. But they're going to set fees. You know what that means? A lot of doctors will not be accepting Medicare patients because they cannot afford the expense that goes along with it. And what's going to happen has happened in other socialized countries, which is we're rapidly becoming. People will go to their doctors and get the best treatment and pay cash for it. And those who are on Obamacare or other types are going to be set aside. And I've said this before, you and I have discussed this before. What is going to happen is the family doctor will no longer exist. They can't exist economically under this bill. And so how are they going to take care of them? Remember, we have millions of people now coming in to the healthcare arena that weren't being covered before by insurance. Now they'll go get free care, which is fine. There are not enough physicians to take care of them. The medical schools cannot turn them out fast enough. You are now going to have the physician's assistants and the nurse practitioners, all dear friends of mine, but they're going to be doing the primary care. You're not going to see a physician. The only time you will see a physician is if under the treatment of the physician assistant or the nurse practitioner, you're not getting better. And if you have the same problem 3 or 4 times in a row when you go back to see them, then they'll refer you to another doctor. But only after they get an okay from the committee who says, yes, you can send that doctor someplace else. The medical care is going to degenerate because you're taking on more people than can possibly be helped. To continue, this is directly from the bill. Cancer hospital will ration care according to the patient's age. That means if you have cancer and go into a hospital and they feel that your cancer is too far advanced or there's nothing more they can do, or they figure the percentage of recovery, depending on how much money the country has to spend on you, you're not getting care. Go home, we'll put you in hospice care. That's in the bill. The government will impose any hospital expansion. If a hospital wants to expand, they have to get government approval for it. The government mandates advanced care planning consultations. Those on Social Security will be required to attend, quote unquote, end-of-life planning seminar every year. That means that after you reach, every 5 years. So that means that after you reach a certain age, you'll be sitting down and you'll have an instructor tell you, you're getting ready to die, therefore make plans, don't waste your money on treatment. We'll give you narcotics and pain medications, we'll put you in hospice care, and you'll be taken care of. But just make plans for your death. The government will specify which doctors can write an end-of-life order, which means if a doctor feels that your medical treatment is no longer helping you, they can just write an end-of-life order and treatment ceases. This is what we want? Enough? Finally, it is stated in this bill, will not apply to Congress. Members of Congress are already exempt from the Social Security system and have a well-funded private plan that covers their retirement needs. If they were on our Social Security plan, I believe they would find a very quick fix to make the plan financially sound. Now, if it's so good, why aren't they on it?
What surprises me, Dr. Greco, is what you're saying is these are actually this is actually taken from the bill.
Yes, I did not give you the page number, line.
But it's there.
It's there.
And anyone has access to this. They could go to Google and read the entire bill.
That's right.
With all this being said, and here again, as I get older, I get so stupid. I'm probably losing my mind. But how, again, can the national media, your ABCs, your NBC, your CBS, your CNN, Fox does it, and that's why they don't go to Fox, because they only present the facts, Why isn't the media exposing all this stuff that eventually will really hurt millions of senior citizens, hurt the young people, and why, I mean, what's the secret here?
Well, I think the secret is pretty obvious. For the last 20 years, there has no longer been a news anchor who tells the news. You're in television. News has become entertainment. Not news, it's become entertainment. Unfortunately, for those of us who tend to be conservative, who worked for everything our entire life, in spite of the fact that the president got up there and says, you didn't do this on your own, we built it for you. Yeah. You know, that's their attitude. So the press has been taken over by the liberals. And I'm not using it as a dirty word. There are liberals and conservatives in the middle of the road. But the liberals have taken over the press. What they don't report is what is bad for the liberals. If it's not their way of thinking, they never report it. Anything that may say, hey, that's not right, they don't report it. It's as simple as that.
Fortunately, though, Dr. Greco, let me just say this. Despite the fact that you cannot now believe 90% of what you see on ABC News, NBC, and CBS, and CNN, and MSNBC, which is factual, you can't believe 90% of what they're saying. 65 to 70% of the American public now have no longer faith in that news media. With all those statistics going against you, you would think that would say, look, we got to put our political agenda aside. Let's start presenting the facts. Folks, I'm talking to Dr. Victor Greco. Facts, folks, they're terrible things. Facts. Attention, senior citizens. Attention, young people. You don't believe Dr. Greco? Read the act. How about it, seniors? When you hit a certain age, people are going to tell you whether you should get your operation, whether you should have that cancer taken care of, okay, be decided by somebody else. And you have to attend meetings saying, this is how you should prepare for death because you're no longer useful. Sad, isn't it? Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, 24/7 SSPTV.com. We're talking about the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, which is known as Obamacare. My guest, Dr. Victor Greco, talking about facts. Remember, folks, Google all this information, and you'll see he's on target here. Vic, we got a couple of minutes left. What do you want to tell our viewers?
What I'd like to tell the viewers is please think deeply before you go in to vote. Don't vote party line. Look at the qualifications of the individuals. Look at what they promised and whether they've delivered it or not. Obamacare is not the answer. It is going to drive us deeper into debt. You're not going to get what you're supposed to get. And remember what I told you. They gave you all the goodies up front. Now they're going to come and tax the living daylights out of you to pay for it. Because common sense says you can't have everything you want and not pay for it. And it's going to be borne on the backs of the senior citizens who are considered one of the greatest generations in a lifetime, and also the hardworking middle-class people that are willing to go out and work. Vote your conscience. Don't vote because you're getting something free, because you're not. I'll sum it up, Sam, by giving you an idea what's happened in other countries that have this type of Obamacare. It's called really socialized medicine. The percentage of men and women who survive cancer 5 years after diagnosis under the present system of medicine, in the United States, 65%. In England and Canada, 42% and 46%. The percentage of patients diagnosed with diabetes who receive treatment within 6 months of the diagnosis, United States, 93%. In England, 15%, and in Canada, 43%. The percentage of seniors, and listen to this carefully, that needed hip replacement or received it within 6 months in the United States, 90%. England, 15%, Canada, 43%. The percentage of senior citizens and all patients referred to a medical specialist who was seen within 1 month in the U.S., 77%. In England, 40%, Canada, 43%. Now, if that doesn't tell you what's already happening in the care that these people are receiving in their nations, which is a takeoff on Obamacare, then you're missing the point completely and you're blind. Let me say this. Sam, myself, and a lot of people want everybody to be insured. We want medical treatment for everybody, but good medical treatment, open to everybody. You're not getting this with Obamacare. It must be repealed and replaced with a program that is just and everybody receives equal treatment down the line.
Victor, you said it before when you said there are people that were born and raised, grew up through the Depression, that were Democrats, and at one time the Democrats were for the people. Unfortunately today, when you look at their platform, when there were 26,000 words, and they didn't even have God in it. That's right. And when they wanted to put God in it, could you imagine the Democrats booed God 3 times. Booed him when they wanted to put him back into the platform, okay?
Yes.
That just goes to show you about substance of the platform. That half the Democrats there feel the way we feel. But the point is, it's so sad when they take that substance away that we have and have class envy, like that lady said to me, Romney's a millionaire, he don't care about poor people. Just the opposite. Folks, I'm talking to Dr. Victor Greco. I can tell you, folks, we try to present facts here. I know some of you are very upset with me. A few of you are very upset because I'm having these shows. Well, folks, I'm sorry. I think it's my job to present facts, and I always welcome opposing viewpoints. You know what, folks? Not one of you who is on the other side have said to me, I want to come on and refute what Dr. Greco says. I want to come on as Planned Parenthood and tell you why we should be ripping those little babies apart, because you're thinking that you're taking women's care away, which is furthest from the truth. No one yet has come on this show and said, yes, I'm for abortions, and I'm going to tell you why I want to kill those babies. Michelle Obama said it was okay for partial birth abortion. Got upset when the Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional. Could you imagine that? She said it was okay to have partial birth abortion. You know what it's all about, folks. See you next time.